afternoon, adventurers. How are you today? That's right, it is Friday. And Friday means it's time for John's Dungeon Corner. Oh, yeah. Right here at the Collective in Altamont Springs, Florida, where we are a nice 88 degrees. Not bad for Friday, you know. Good weather, I think. Yeah. All right, so today, we're going to show off a couple of new things that came in. Of course, you all know about the Mimic. Good stuff, right? Right. Good stuff all around. All right, so let's talk about a couple of the new things that have come in. These are kind of neat. This is, let me get my glasses real quick, right? So I can see what I'm not looking at. All right, let me see what we got here. Okay, what's going on in this background over here? Let me see. Okay, what is that? I'm not sure what that is. Okay, here we go. We got from Critical Role, the Gilmore's Fantastic Fabrication, the Cyclops Stormcaller. Happy Friday, my love. Welcome to the show. Hey, welcome to the show, Antonio. Now, this is a Cyclops Stormcaller. It is a very cool looking miniature. You get to put it together. You get to customize it. Contains enough optional components to custom build one Cyclops Stormcaller miniature. And it's got quite a bit. Wow. So it's got a cool icicle staff. I'm going to bring that up here. Hey, Sarah. Yay, it's Friday. Yes, it is. This is what he looks like. Kind of a cool, very cool Cyclops Stormcaller. So he's probably a spellcaster of some type. I like it. They go all the accessories. A lot of cool accessories. I like that. It looks really nice. Very nice. Yes, and this is coming out. It isn't quite out yet, but it's coming out. And then we also got, now this is a cool one. This is the Frameworks, where you can also customize monsters and the characters. This is the Medusa. So there goes a picture of the Medusa. Very traditional looking. And then there are all the different variations that you can put on it. Kind of build it with a lot of different varieties, right? He should be named Timothy. Okay, Timothy's the name. Hey, Donald, welcome to the show. All right. And then, that's kind of neat. Now, you guys have heard me talk about the Giant Book of Battle Maps. We have them. They are amazing. And now this one is revised, the original, with new maps. This has a 62 wipe clean map set. Well, it just looks really cool. I've always enjoyed these. So you get 31 different, and when you open up the book, you get a nice big map it turns into. So that's really, really cool. I like that. Now, here goes a couple things. These are the 5E spell effects. All right, now I'm not going to open it because, well, it's not really, it doesn't lend itself to be open, but you got all these discs and the fireball. It looks like the web spell is in here. Lightning bolt, of course, and a lot of the spell effects, walls and that kind of thing. Very nice. It looks very cool. Look at that. So there goes that. And along with it, now this is really, remember, I'm always trying to find something that'll help out. And I've shown you the other ones. Now this is the Arc Knight flat plastic minis, okay? They come with little stands that you can put them on, the round bases. So this is what they look like. They're plastic stand-ups, okay? Very neat. Like that's a roper there, a giant spider, some kobolds, some adventures maybe, or some villains. And then in the back, there's bigger creatures. But the neat thing about these is they're inexpensive enough that you can buy the set, and it has 167 pieces. So it's got 30 small creatures, has 100 medium creatures, 25 large creatures, and 12 giant sized creatures, which is really nice. So you get 167 miniatures pretty much, and it's awesome. I like that. It's something that you can use, beginning DMs you can use to have little bits. And remember, they did have the starter pack for the heroes, for the characters themselves also. Now, last but not least, This is something that came out. This is by Cobalt Press, and it is the Tome of Beast. It is the Tome of Beast. Very nice, very good-looking book. I cannot tell you what's inside because it's not open, and nor is it out on the shelves yet. But here it is. I'm sorry. This is a Tome of Beast. Yeah, Tome of Beast 1. I have that pack, and they're awesome, but it's an investment. They are an investment. They are an investment. Good point. And let's talk. I'm going to kind of jump on that for just a second because that was one of the things I was going to talk about today. Miniatures in general are an investment. All right, gang, DMs, players. Players, for you, it's a little easier because you usually run one character, maybe two, right? Maybe three at most. So you need to worry about maybe if you're using miniatures, maybe three different kind of characters. Maybe a sorcerer in one, a paladin in another, and a rogue in another. So you have different miniatures for them, okay? Or if you use the same character and you can use a warrior for a barbarian, for a paladin, right? Okay, for a ranger, depending on how he looks. Yeah, miniature's a miniature. It's all make-believe anyway. So you can just make believe that that's what he has. Okay. Whereas for game masters, we have to have, if we're running kobolds and we want to use miniatures, we'll usually have kobolds or goblins or orcs or hobgoblins and all the way up to dragons and beholders and mimics. Now the miniature won't be this big, thank goodness, right? Or else everybody's doomed. This would be like an elder, ancient, gargantuan mimic. The mimic lord of all mimics. Anyway, but you get my point. So the investment is big. I mean, can you imagine placing in a larger combat 12, 14 goblins and then having another 12 or 14 goblins join them and then another 10? You're going to get like 30, 40 goblins. That's a lot of miniatures. The nice thing about this is you get 167 of them. And it's a good price. I mean, the price, it's like Donna said, it is an investment. It depends as a game master on whether it's an investment that you would like to make or not. Okay? So that's that. All right. So that's important. Now, so a couple topics that have come up and one that I want to really talk to, both as game master and player and two game masters and two players. All right. And that is character creation. Now I've gone through a lot of character creation before, and we've kind of talked about how to build parties and how to build the character in that. But this is a little bit more situational. This is kind of like zero in on one situation that's happening. Okay, so and let me kind of set it up. All right, so we're all sitting around the table. We're about to create our characters for the first time. All right, we're gonna have a couple of new players, a couple of veteran players, a couple of players that have been playing for a while, right? Okay, so we have a nice group of people that are from inexperience to kind of starting out with play who are veterans. Now, here comes the situation. The veteran players, they want to play something from somewhere else. And what I mean by that is I want to play a Leonin Artificer. That's what I want to play. Now you get the hand around your table. You're going to have the player's handbook, right? You're going to have this book here, the player's handbook. And the new player, well, he's like, oh, what is a Leonin? And of course, the veteran player, not wanting to be rude or anything, says, oh, Leonin is this, and this. Artificer is this, and this. And all of a sudden, what happens to that brand new player? Well, what do you think is going to happen? Oh, wow. Let me go look at that. So they take the player's handbook. And since they got to figure out what their character is going to be and they're reading about it, they open it up and they're like, okay. Elves, halfling, human. Ooh, a dragonborn. That looks neat, but where's this Leonin? No. Oh, it's in alphabetical order. Let's see. A half elf, a half orc, a tiefling. What? Wait a minute. Where's that Leonin? Oh, okay. That comes from a different book. Okay. Well, all right. Well, let me go look at this Artificer. Oh, it's in alphabetical order. Wait a minute. It starts with barbarian. A bard. I don't see the Artificer in here. Okay. There you have it. You can already see what the situation is, right? You have a new player that's looking for something that we always talk about, and now Game Masters DMs, this is just a word of advice. This is nothing more. That's what this show's about. And I want to talk about this because I've gotten a couple emails and people have asked me, how come it is some people get to play this, but others don't. Oof, that's a rough question, right? Especially for new players, because this is coming from a new player's point of view. And here's the thing: what you don't want to create sentiments of that player is better, but just because he is a veteran, and he probably does understand. And some of these, in the two classes that I brought up, or the class that I brought up, is actually not a simple class, the Artificer. I don't know that I just want to throw a new player into it. I mean, if you look, and I've talked about this, keeping it simple at first, right? There are so many races and so many classes in here that a combination thereof produces, I don't even know how many. Okay, I really don't. Because every race can be any class, and it just, it kind of gets crazy. And you've got the exotics like the Dragonborn, the Tiefling. You have the half orc, the half elf. You have halflings. And even within those, you have subclasses. So I mean, take the elf. You have the high elf, the wood elf, the drow elf, the dark elf, right? Under dwarves, you have hill and mountain, and so on and so forth. I mean, under Dragonborn, you can have every type of colored dragon that you want as a Dragonborn. So with that being said, and then we go to classes, and we have everything from, of course, the Barbarian all the way to the Warlock and all in between. And even under there, they have subclasses later on, right? Because then we can become an Eldritch Knight, which is a magic casting fighter. So there is so much there. But even before we get to that point, there's something important that we keep overlooking. All right? And I'll see if I can break it down like this. Okay. We have basically, let's look at Dungeons and Dragons as grades, right? A new player would be an elementary student at first grade. And an intermediate player would be someone who's in middle school somewhere, right? And that varies. I mean, you can have beginners. And the reason I use elementary and then middle school is elementary is 1st through 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And then you got high school and college, right? So you have players that are all that spectrum. Hey, how you doing, brother?
Man, this is breaking news.
What's breaking news? Breaking news.
This is breaking news. I want to share it here first. Well, first of all, WizKids has been saying all of these empty out-of-print things that I've been trying to sell to people and nobody wants to buy because they actually want the miniature that's supposed to be in front of it. So they said they're coming back in June or July. And I was like, oh, that's exciting.
Okay.
So anyway, June passed, nothing. Beginning of July passed, nothing. Now I got note that they are en route. So things like owl bears, things like beholders, things like blights, things like familiars, things like mimics and giant mimics.
Yeah.
Werewolves. I believe the timber wolves are on their way.
Yes.
So all of this stuff is good. White dragons, black dragons, and this is the first wave. So
awesome. Well, thank you.
It's going to be here Monday.
We were just talking about miniatures.
Those are miniatures. These are flat miniatures. These are 3D pre-painted.
Yeah, very nice. Awesome.
Hey, he's got to come back out on the sales floor.
I know. Well, you want to take him with you?
No,
I just brought him back here temporarily.
Oh, okay. I thought he was still back.
Oh, no. I went and grabbed him and brought him back.
He's our last one.
Two more mimics. I'm telling you, stuff comes and goes. Well, that's awesome.
Mimics are great.
Mimics are cool.
Mimic there. All right.
All right. Well, thank you for that. You guys heard it first. See, breaking news.
Oh, and I got one other product to show you. Keep going.
All right. So there we go. So basically, a new player. Now, we're going to say first grade. All right. You don't bring a college professor with a PhD to teach college level algebra to first grader. They don't even know math, much less. Their basic understanding of math is 1 + 1 = 2, and 2 + 2 is 4, and basic multiplication and division and such. And then you're going to bring in algebra and trigonometry and maybe even, I don't know. It just, you get where I'm going with this. And it's too much. You're just going to inundate them and you're going to drown them. They're going to drown, trying to figure out what is going on. So, I got one of those.
You already got one.
I already talked about it. Look at that. See?
Well, there we go.
He was bringing it in.
Wonderful. It's an alternate cover book. It is alternate.
Oh, come on out here. Tell.
It is alternate bad guys that you can kind of put in there. Tome of Beasts is kind of like a bestiary. It's just like the monster manual. There you
Very
go.
pretty.
But it is a 5e compatible. It's done by Cobalt Press, which is not done by WotC, but it is Cobalt Press.
Yes, very cool stuff. I'm telling you.
there you
I told him. Said, yeah, this is another great.
It's exciting. Okay, so you got it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, though.
Perfect.
See, he keeps everything. It keeps him abreast of everything. I love it.
I do.
And by the way, for all those that don't know, that Brendan is the store owner. He owns the collective. So this is his place. So all right. So back to this. So here's what I'm telling you: when a new player sits down at your table, they really don't. They've heard of Dungeons and Dragons. They may have seen their friends play it, and we all know that the computer game and the game in front of you are two totally different games. So there's a lot that they have to learn. A lot. And when I mean a lot, I'm not even talking about how to create a character or anything else. I'm talking about the mechanics of the game. Because past the character, past the monsters, past the dice, when you take all that away, you have to understand the mechanics of the game. It's like anything else. And you don't want to frustrate these characters by giving them too much information. And that's, I think, what's happening with some players. They're getting frustrated because they see other people doing things that are wow. I mean, we all know that there are certain classes that are just amazing. And when they're played by a person who is experienced and is a veteran player, that class goes from here to here. Because that's just that there's that experience that goes into, okay, I've played this. When I put these two together, I've got the ultimate character, me. I mean, they may be able to do that with everything. But the thing is, you're going outside of the player's handbook, which is what is available right here, right now. And you're building something that's totally foreign. Even to the person who's sitting at the table for the first time, it's foreign. Okay? So we let them learn the mechanics. We let them learn the mechanics, and we reinforce the mechanics. Because remember, not every game master does things the same. So we want to teach them, show them the way we are going to run our game. But the mechanics should always be the mechanics. Initiative, right? Put everybody in the combat order. All right, first person up. What are we doing? And I showed you that little sheet that was made that kind of goes through everything. You may want to have one of those sheets available to you. I'm sorry. I'm in second grade, my wife says, and Sarah says she's in sixth grade. Don't let her fool you. But my wife hasn't been playing a lot, but she's been playing a little bit, and she'll be the first one to tell you it's not easy. If you've never played a game like Dungeons and Dragons, and I was talking with her on the way here about that because I was kind of a little like, it was kind of like, wow, they're having it's players that are out there having a hard time, and I said, I guess I should kind of take some of that blame for myself because I sit here sometimes and I make it sound easy. I bring people over and they make it sound easy. And everything's easy until you sit down and actually do it, right? Okay? Even with YouTube, you got to get through the first cut. You got to rewind it, back it up. Well, it's kind of like that when you're first learning something, okay? It is. It's something that you got to learn step by step. There's mechanics involved in it that you need to learn. And I think now once you become familiar with at least the mechanics, listen, there's all kinds of races and classes and subclasses coming out all the time. And as a book comes out, it comes out with something new, which is awesome. It keeps the game growing. But a new player, and this is just a suggestion, once again, DMs, I'm not telling you how to run your game, but we don't want to frustrate our players, all right? And if you've got one or two new players, or maybe just one that's joined a group of veterans, you're going to have that because there's an experience gap between them. And I don't mean levels either. Okay? Yes, these other guys, they know how to cast their spells. They know all their abilities. They know what everything does. They know their initiative order. They know what they can and can't do on an initiative. And that's what makes it seem so foreign to a player. Then once that new player builds their character and they sit down, they notice that all these characters are like, whoa, these guys, they have feats at fourth level. Da, da, da. And you're just like, whoa, as a new player, it's a lot to take in. My suggestion is teach them the mechanics. Explain to them what the dice are about, what they're used for, how they relate to their character, what the different traits. I have to go through it with my players, and it's a great thing. Remember, players, and this is for you. The DM is not the bad guy. He's not the enemy. He just is the playmaker. He is the producer, the creator. He is the narrator of your adventure. But he's there to help you. Now, he's not there to tell you what to do, because that part's up to you. But from what the other players are doing, you can kind of piece it together. Feats are difficult even for veteran players. They are. And even at this point, I'm still not sure I'm going to put them in the game yet. For some of my beginner players, I'll probably let the veteran players at the house, my group at the house, because that's a little bit. But for right now, I may wait till 8th level. You can introduce it anytime. I might give it to it once I feel that their mechanics are down. Then I think I will. Even if, listen, at 4th level is where they get it, right? There's no reason you can't sit there and wait till 8th level. By then, they should have a real good grasp of their character and understand what they want to do for you. Because here's the thing. You get a feat, you think it's awesome, you think it's great, it sounds amazing on paper, you run it with your character, and you're like, ugh, this really doesn't work for my guy. You know? This isn't exactly what I thought it was going to do. Oh, man, that's how that works. Okay, so there's a cohesion that has to happen in creating a character. And I think that's where that disconnect's happening, is you got a new player that sees a veteran player creating their character, and they're just like, well, what are you creating there? Oh, I'm creating a Tortle character who's a monk. So I usually just take the ability boost at 4th and wait for feats because it takes a lot of synergy. It does. You got it, and it does. But I'm going to get to that. Let's go back here. So I'm going to take a Tortle monk character. Now, the monk is out of the player's handbook, but the Tortle, what's that? Well, he has a natural armor class and this or that, whatever it may be. Oh, well, where's that character? What's in this book? Now we got to, hopefully the book is available and somebody has it, right? Or maybe we're looking on our phone and it's just, like I said, and I always say books because I refer to books. I use my books. I don't use the other thing. Although it's a good tool, don't get me wrong. I just, like everything else, I don't prefer it. It's a choice. But I like my books. I like to hold things in my hand and be able to flip it. And plus, I'm half blind, so I want to be able to read the bigger print. Anyway, so what I'm saying is start out simple. Even if you do 1 or 2 sessions, okay? Even if you did 1 or 2 sessions and you said, look, our first couple sessions are going to be just so everybody understands the mechanics, how I run things. All right, we'll call it a long session 0 to introduce you into my world, to introduce you into Dungeons and Dragons, to kind of refresh and kind of let you guys see if this is really the group. You can even go like that. That's another thing, Game Masters. Make sure that the group synergizes, that they don't have these obvious gaps like no healers. Let them go on a couple of adventures and take the damage and go, okay, how do we heal? Oh, well, there's no healers. Well, don't we have potions? No, you don't have any of those either. Oh, man. Or there's 2 potions. Well, we're all 5 of us got beat up. Yeah, there's only 2 potions. There's no sippy sippies. So there you go. Those are some of the things. Here's something. Explain certain things to people. If take the ranger, for instance, the dual wielding ranger, and then the fighter who's a fighter shield, and this person's attacking twice, and you told the fighter he can only attack once at 1st level because that's what it states. Well, why is he 1st level and why is he getting to attack twice? How come the mage did that and then got to cast another spell? Okay, you need to explain bonus actions, right? As part of it, players can take a reaction, a bonus action, a move action, a combat, an action. There's all kinds of actions that go within an initiative. I'm not going to go through the list, but I roll on my initiative. I can move forward 15 feet, attack this guy. Oh my gosh, I killed him. And in that, I can go, okay, let me roll my normal attack. Boom, that hit him. Oh boy. Okay, let me take I'm going to use my bonus attack to do an offhand attack. And I shank him with the dagger. Boom, I kill him. Okay, well, I still got 15 feet left that I can move. So I'm going to move over here and set him up for advantage. I'm going to move behind his creature. Now, I did a lot in that turn. I did a lot. Then, let's make it even more. Okay, so this orc or whatever, this creature's going to run by me to try to get to the wizard over here, and runs by me, and then leaves my threat, my threat range. So guess what? Ta-da! Now I get an attack of opportunity, so I get a reaction to attack him. Whoa! Now all that happened just like that, and this guy hasn't even gone yet, so he's just totally lost already. This person over here is just like, what the heck just happened? How did they do all that on just one turn? That's what you have to. That's where mechanics come in, where they understand what's going on. Okay, and the more they play, the longer they stay around the game, the more they get to learn. And it is a learning curve, right? What if they decide, you know what? I really don't want somebody. I don't want to have to memorize what spells I have and this and that. I think, you know what? I'd rather just be a barbarian. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be like Conan. I'm gonna be a barbarian. I don't have to worry about a lot. Just give me my weapons and I rage. But here we go. Rage. While raging, you get +2 to damage, but you take half damage from piercing and slashing and bludgeoning weapons. But once again, there's other things that they have to learn. So everything it's like they're stepping stones. They're like a ladder, steps leading up. Okay, grades going higher. The more they play, the more immersed they become in it, the more they see, they learn. That's the way it works, right? And I think that's the way you have to approach it as a game master, not just I got a new player, let's set them down and let's start playing. There's a lot that goes into it past creating the character. But in creating the character, you have to explain them. And you can always explain things to players, because I have that at home. Let me tell you, there's a couple classes that I have in my home game that was created by me and only exists in my world. Okay. My son Antonio's playing that one because I want to see how it's balanced. Okay, how well balanced it is. And if anybody's going to break it, it'll be him. And I purposely gave him that character to see what he can do with it, if it's overbalanced or not balanced enough. All right. So he plays it. There's another one that's played. It's a character from it's actually a race that's part of the game. But that my friend Billy's playing. Billy's been playing for a long time. He's another veteran of the game. He's playing it, and he's playing a subclass of a cleric with it that's different. But we're trying it once again. It's in his hands. He's a veteran player, and I explained that to the players. We could do this. There's going to be some exceptions because I want to see how it works out. Okay. There's another elf that's running around with my other son, and he's playing that character, and we're trying to go down and see if this storyline works, and if the whole compatibility of that character class, or not so much the class, but the race and the background of how it all came about can be incorporated into the game well. That I put in the hands of the veterans. But other than that, there's very few exceptions as to what race and what classes they can play. There's very few. Even for the new players, I make sure that the new players understand at least enough to get going. And my wife is one of them, and there's a couple more, and we're moving along. And they're getting better at it, and they really are getting better at it. But it takes a lot of practice, and we don't play every week or every month for that matter. We play maybe 4 or 5 times a year, probably closer to 4 than 5, but somewhere around there. We try to play 5 or 6, but last year we were only able to play, I think, 5 times. The year before that, I think we played 6 times. So they're just now getting a second level, but we're in no rush because there are people learning the game. We're having a good time among ourselves, and that's the thing. I always say that. And the game is different for everybody. All right. And this is something now, game masters, here's where you're juggling act. Players, game masters have it rough. And I know I'm just kind of talking and not really showing off a lot of stuff and getting into it. But I want everybody to understand the game, not so much from the mechanics and how to play the game, but I want them to understand the game behind the scenes. I guess there's a behind the scenes thing, and that needs to be put out there too. Game masters have a lot going on. They build the game, they build the world, they play everything other than your character. They're every monster, every NPC, every townsperson. They're the wind blowing and the rain falling. They are the creator of the town that you just walked into, and all those NPCs. They decide what goes into those stores, and they run out the whole plot line with several plot lines to run off of that. There's adventures to be had, dungeons to be stocked, so on and so forth. Before any of that, there's also a teaching aspect in that when a new player comes to the game, it's on them and some of the veteran players, but basically it's on the dungeon master, the game master, to teach these players how to play and how to play properly. Not so much with what he's created, but just the basics. What is initiative? What die do I roll? Where do I get these numbers from? How does all this come together for that one roll? Think about it. Something as simple as initiative. How do we roll for initiative? We roll a d20. Is that it? No. What do we add to it? Well, we go to our dexterity. We look and see what our modifier is. Is there anything in the racial or in the class that gives us a bonus to that? No, yes, whatever. We add it, we don't add it. Further along, are there any feats that might sit there to offset this? Any magical items that might offset this? So on and so forth. So it's stepping stones, but we have to know how we arrive at these numbers. When I roll to hit a creature, where does that final number come from? It's not just the d20, as we well know. Where is that on our character sheet? How do we get that number? This is what I'm getting at. How to get at whatever it is they are going to need. Everyone has to roll for initiative. Everyone eventually attacks and needs to roll skill numbers. How do we get that number? How do we do it? When do I use, and I went over this, when do we use investigation as opposed to, oh my gosh. Oh. What were the three? Perception, investigation, and insight. You know, when do we use what? When do we bluff? When do we persuade? How does that work? There's a whole lot of things that we have to be ready for as game masters to explain and set up and just be able to not so much teach, and it is teaching, but I'd rather someone understand how something works than just go, okay, this is the number that you need. What did I teach them? Nothing. I said, okay, this is your number. Add 5 to that. Where did that 5 come from? If they know themselves, then they can always go back and figure it out for their next. Then they can kind of have an idea. Okay, well, all right, so I really want to do this next turn. What do I need to do? Oh, right. I add this and I add this, and I get it from here. There it is. That's what you want. That's how a player can now start role-playing because they're not worried about what am I adding to this number? Where am I getting that from? Oh, is it here? No, wait, that's not. Oh, good grief. And now they're frustrated. Who cares? At this point, role-playing, I just got to figure out what the heck I'm doing, right? And that's where I'm coming from. That's what I'm really getting at, is it's important to help them help themselves, kind of like a staging thing. And we have to put just enough on the table for them that they don't feel overwhelmed. And they're going to feel overwhelmed because, unfortunately, Dungeons and Dragons is not as simple as it looks. There's a lot of reading involved. We can all agree on that. Whether it's on your phone, tablet, or book, there's a lot of reading involved. Okay. There's a lot of number crunching that's involved. We can all agree on that. And that's a perpetual thing. These are perpetual things that go on throughout the game, right? Because as you go up levels, things happen, modifiers change, you get a magical weapon, so on and so forth. So there's reading and there's math. Then, as we've said, there's a synergy, a coming together of everything. But let me leave that for last, actually. Let me put that at the end. Then there's a coordination. There's tactics. And as I like to say, there's tactics and there's strategy. The tactics are really part of your character creation. I know this is going to sound a little weird because when people hear tactics, it's like, oh, battle. No. The tactic is, and it kind of goes with that whole synergy thing, is how can I build my character to where everything flows together? And then I take that one piece and now I put it in a group so we have a strategic advantage when we go into combat. When we encounter a situation, we have the tactical and strategic advantage. Right? You see, everything has a fit. And it's hard when you don't really know how the pieces are supposed to fit. And that's what we as game masters, it falls on us. And if the veteran players are willing to help you, and most of them are. All right, I've met so many, and the veteran players are always willing to help. Sometimes they help too much, and they just confuse people because they're bringing in so much stuff. And they're excited about the game. It's something that they love. It happens everywhere. You go talk to a mechanic about how to fix something on a car, and my gosh, the better mechanic they are, the more they'll tell you about it. They'll be able to break it down to the last nut and bolt, right? Well, there you go. It's the same thing with D&D players. They want to show their knowledge. They want to get the excitement that they feel. They want to convey it to the new player to get them excited. And sometimes it's a little joy, but that's okay. That's okay. Enthusiasm is a wonderful thing. Sometimes it may be too over enthusiastic, but hey, there's that enthusiasm, and that's really what's important here. Okay. So that's what I wanted to say. And players, remember, the DMs have a lot going on. So work with them, especially if you're new. If you're new, you're a little frustrated, just tell someone. Just talk to them and say, look, this is really frustrating. There's so much going on. Can we just walk this through? And you might want to do that in that session 0. Walk things through. I had a couple session 0s. I had a 0, 0.5, a 0.75. Before we ever started, I just made some simple little scenarios up. A bandit attack at night. So they can see, oh my gosh, we have a human and he can't see in the dark. What do we do? How do we overcome that? Yeah, Sarah says, don't be afraid to ask questions. Exactly. You got to ask questions. And you're going to have a lot of questions. Some of them will be answered as the game goes. Some of them you just need to ask. If you don't understand it, just ask. And I know in school you always heard there's no such thing as a dumb question. When D&D, there is no such thing as a dumb question because it's all make-believe anyway. So magic, and although that's susceptible, right? It depends on how you look at magic as to whether or not, but that's a different concept. You know, you got to imagine orcs and dragons and fairies and kobolds, goblins, of course. Don't forget the goblins. So ask the questions. There's no dumb question, not at all. And that's the only way you're going to learn. If someone does something and you thought it was cool, you can always ask them. I mean, don't talk so loud that it overrides the person who's doing their turn, but you can always go over there and ask them, or wait till after the game, or when you take a break or something, ask them about that. Hey, when you did this, how does that work? They'll explain it to you. Trust me, they'll be more than happy to explain it to you. All right? They will. So work with the DM. The DM is your friend. They're there to provide an entertaining time. You can always ask if your idea is a good idea. There can be out of game advice. Oh, that's true too. I mean, especially when you're creating a character or something, all that's out of game anyway. What Sarah's really talking about is, while something's going on in the game and you want to do something like there's a battle going on and you want to sneak over there behind somebody, and you want to know, because you've seen other people do it and it made it easier for the person in front of them. They gained advantage and got to roll 2 dice. You know, now, and you're a wizard. Let's say you're a wizard and you go and you ask a veteran player, hey, listen, do you think it'd be a good idea for me to go over there and sneak behind that orc and give him advantage? I could get an attack from behind. And he'll probably, I don't know what they'll say, but if you ask me, I'd say, no, I think you should just stay here because, if for some reason that orc doesn't go down, it's probably going to turn around and attack you. And you're a little, you're a little soft, and you have a soft exterior and a crunchy exterior and are good for ketchup. That's what a dragon would say anyway. I don't know if an orc. Well, an orc might look at it that way too. So, but anyway, so that just keep that in mind. That you can ask for out of game advice, especially if the DM side up asks one of the other players. They'll work with you, and then you can always ask the DM, "Hey, listen, will we get advantage if I go over here behind them?" Okay, so there's that part. Now, if it's a good idea or not, talk to a player because the DM's not going to be able to tell you. That's not a question you would ask him. I wouldn't ask him. I want to ask, and he may answer, but I put the question to someone at the table who's a player. Some things you can ask the DM, like, okay, could you tell me, is that creature over there casting magic, or what is he? Does he have weapons out? What is he? Is he a bowman? Is he a fighter? Is he a caster of some kind? You may not know what it is, but you can ask questions like that. What space was it that he laid down the oil in? That kind of thing you can ask. Whether something will be positive or negative, or resulted in a good thing, or with your character, that's something that you should ask players, or just take a chance. That's half the game, is take a chance. Imagine you're that character, and that's what you want to do. Okay, so I'm my I don't have any armor. I got spells. All I got is a staff. Ugh. Do I think it's smart to go and attack this orc from behind in case it turns around on me? My armor class really isn't that great. I'll throw a spell at him. I'll let somebody else with lots of armor stand behind him, right? Okay. So, and that's what you can do. And you may decide, yeah, let's go take a chance. He's been hurt before. See, he got beat up I'm just going to go help him out. Stand by, maybe I can get him. Okay, there you go. So anyway, that's my advice for today. I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to get that out there because there's been a couple of inquiries and questions about it. And like I said, Game Masters, it's just my opinion, but I really think that you should take the extra time to explain if you're going to allow these out of book. I like to call them out of book characters and races that are not in the player's handbook. Because you've got to remember, even if they're online, they may not have access to anything but this book, thinking this is all they need. So explain to them, listen, a couple of veteran players are going to be trying something out. They've been playing other characters. It's something that you can, once you become more experienced, then you can try. Sarah says, because most of the time the veteran players have seen many different scenarios play out for the different classes, even if they haven't played the class. That's very true too. I mean, when you're a veteran player, it means you've been playing for a while. You have either played a lot of classes or you have seen a lot of classes played. A lot of class and race combinations, some that worked, didn't work. They are probably game masters themselves. And yes, there's a lot. Once again, you got the college students and the PhD holders, and you've got the elementary students that are just starting to figure this out. All right, so there's a big experience gap. This has nothing to do with intelligence. This has nothing to do with nothing other than experience. It will take you years upon years to play out every character class race combo. That's just all there is to it. There's so many of them. I mean, let's say that there's 17, let's say there's 10 different classes and 10 different races, and each one can play every class. What do you got? Somebody do the quick math. I already know what the answer is. But how many different characters would you have to play every single character as every single class? Come on, gang. Dun, 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 dun. There's 10 classes and 10 races. How many characters would you have to play to have played every single combination? Anybody? Come on. I'm going to give you a moment. It's more than one. How's that? Anyone? Come on, gang. Throw me a number. I'm going to give you 30. That's right, Donna. 100. 1,000? Yeah, no. 10 times 10 is 100. 10 times 100 would be 1,000. But in my example, it's 100. You would have to play 100 different characters to play every combination that's available to you. Can you imagine that? Every single combination. That's 100 different characters you'd have to play. Now, fortunately, and Christina is right on that, is that there's probably closer to about 1,000 different characters. I say no match out of work right now. No math out of work right now. No, but I'm just showing you. And even then there's the subclasses. Correct. We're not even going to get into that. The subclasses that are anywhere from, I think, 4 to 7 different subclasses. Some have, so you can take that number and like Christina said, because she's heard us throw that number around. There's probably 1,000 plus different classes that you can put together, out of that, because that's just your base class if you did nothing with it. But take the fighter here. I'll show you what I'm talking about with subclasses, just out of here. All right. I'm just gonna and then we're gonna close up because I think I've beat the drum in long enough. But okay. Let's see, the Bard is the first one. No, the Barbarian is. Okay, Barbarian. So you can play a Barbarian. And that Barbarian can go down the Primal Path, the Path of the Berserker, or the Path of the Totem Warrior. Okay, so that's 3 subclasses for him. So that's 3. The Bard has 3, I believe. College of Lore, College of Valor. It's okay, it only has 2 here. But there's more. So that's 5 so far. Cleric. We're not even talking about all the different domains, are we? No, let's not talk about the domains because there's just about 7 or 8 of those. The Druid, the circles. Let's see. We got Druid circles. Circle of the moon, circle of the land. There's 2 there, right? Circle of the moon, circle of the land. That's what they have in here. So that's 7. 7 in 3 classes. The fighter has another champion Battlemaster and Eldritch Knight. So that's another 3. 7, that's 10 in 4 classes. So yeah, you can already see where this is going to go. You can get to 1,000 in a blink of an eye. Okay, so that's what I'm getting at. At first, let them learn the basics. Jason, hey. Yes, my twin is back. Welcome to the show. We're about to close up, but I'm glad you made it. We were talking about creating characters and new players. So that's something you might want to go back and look at. But I think it was important to go over it because I've heard, I've gotten some emails about it and that. And there's no right or wrong answer because every game master runs their game differently. But I think communication is key. All right. So you saw all the cool stuff that we got going on, all the new miniatures, and there's so many miniatures that are coming in. Oh my gosh, this place is going to be inundated. There's a lot of cool books out. This is really neat. This Tome of Beasts. It's a great DM's tool, Game Master's tool. If you want more monsters, I already talked about the monstrous manual, the monster manual compendium that I showed everybody. But other than that, I think it's good. Sometimes we have to have these chats that you don't see online elsewhere, right? But once again, everybody, thank you for joining me today. And for those of you who see this later, thank you for tuning in and checking out what's going on and listening to me and spending some time with me, whether it's online or offline later on when you look at it on yourself. So as always, may the road rise up to meet your feet and may all your adventures always be successful. This is John from John's Dungeon Corner at the Collective in Altamont Springs, Florida, saying have a wonderful weekend and I will see you next Friday. Bye, everyone. And everyone, thank you once again for coming on and putting up with it. Have a good one.